Hi, Achim here from InnerSpace Explorers. Today we talk about the Dive Talk Go. So if you follow the channel or if you follow Dive Talk, if not, check it out. It's one of my absolute favorite scuba channels. Then you realize that I've been in the US recently and started with the Dive Talk Go, and I received quite a few messages where people were like, so where's the follow-up? I mean, what's going on? And the reason I waited a little bit is because I wanted to get some hours on it. So obviously I dove it in the States and did also some serious diving with it. And meanwhile I have a bit over 40 hours on it, and I wanted to make an educated, experience-based review instead of just throwing it out because I just received it. So a couple of things before I really go into the rebreather. So when I heard about it, I was excited because first of all, I love Dive Talk, Gus, Woody, just as people, and I met Gus before and I really liked him. Then obviously Master Brain, Mike Young behind the rebreather was something that was like made me really curious, but at the same time I was a bit skeptical what's coming up there. I mean, just reading about it and seeing it, it was really small, and I was like, maybe this is just a toy, and I don't know. So I went there with no huge expectations or whatsoever. And then I got there and I spent 10 days in Florida with Juan from ISE and Gus, and then I was able to make an educated decision after I dove it. And now I'm a super happy Dive Talk Go rebreather, diver, instructor, mechanic, whatever. So I love it, as simple as that. And all these people, I mean, there was all these questions like, is it a serious rebreather? Is it a recreational rebreather? Can you do tech dives with it? Is it good for cave diving? Blah, 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 blah. And I'll cover all of this. First of all, it's not a toy. It's just awesome. And the reason people think it's a toy, I mean, we have it here, you can see me holding that basically with 2 fingers, is because it's super light. It's 4.5 kilos. It's hand luggage, and that's the first thing I loved in it. I mean, you can put it in a backpack and literally take it in your hand luggage, so it's the perfect travel rebreather. And I mean, thinking about my KISS Classic, which I really love, as you know, especially if you follow the channel for a while, it's a beast, especially to travel with. It's like a 30 kilo extra bag that you have to check in, and then you don't know, does it arrive, does it get broken? I mean, I had all kinds of issues with it. And of course it's not a full substitute for a technical rebreather like a classic KISS or JJ or whatever, I mean, you name it. But it is very capable, and the question is always, I mean, how many people out there do these 100-meter multi-hour decompression deep dives or this 5-hour cave dives or whatever? And yeah, it's not for that. But I think it covers 95 to 99% of all the average dives, including technical stuff. So I said I wanted to do this review after I gained a couple of hours, so now a bit over 40 hours now. And I dove it in all types of configuration, with a single tank, with doubles with stages, side mount, as an oxygen rebreather. One of these questions that came up a couple of times, can you use it as an oxygen rebreather? I mean, obviously screams oxygen rebreather. It's small, it's chest mounted, yeah, and you can. I mean, there's this super duper, super expensive Achim Dive Talk Go, make it an oxygen rebreather plug, so you plug the MAD side so it doesn't suck water, and it's an oxygen rebreather. And I'm in the fortunate position to live on a river, so basically a couple of meters down the property. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that on the video, doesn't matter. So I can change right here where I'm sitting now and then walk down and jump in the river. it's 7 meters at the deepest spot. It's an oxygen rebreather dive, and guess what I did over the last couple of days? Basically once a day I spent an hour in the river with the Dive Talk Go as an oxygen rebreather, and it's perfect. So with that I already covered the second great thing on it. It's super flexible. You can do everything with it. It doesn't matter what configuration you dive. You can add the Dive Talk Go and go for the dive, and suddenly everything becomes so much easier, because your regular scuba setup, whatever it is, becomes your backup. And literally, if something goes wrong with the rebreather, which by the way, in all these hours that I did now, nothing ever got wrong, it actually works awesome, you literally throw it away and go on your regular configuration, whatever that is. I mean, yeah, you go on a classic 2-tank dive somewhere in the Florida Keys, and instead of 2 tanks, you only use 1 tank, and when you give it back, it probably still has 180 bars or 2,800 psi or something like that, because you literally don't use any of that gas. It's just your backup. And that also makes it simple for your dive partner, because imagine it, you're diving with somebody and that person just switches to a rebreather, but you're not a rebreather person. Now suddenly your dive partner has something on the back that you do not really understand. So what do you do if you got into an issue? How can this person help you? Somebody that dives a goal still has the regular scuba stuff on him, on her, whatever. So you run into trouble, still an octopus and long hose or whatever the plan was before, because that person's now diving a go, but it doesn't change anything. It just is a little bit of add on top. And that's the beauty of it. And another thing I wanted to get out of my system, because it really makes me angry, is I have all these haters out there that's like, these dive talk guys, and they're just talking crap, and they don't have a clue, and this and that. So beside, I think they're doing an awesome job representing our sport, and I love both of them for what they do out there. Now I have the personal experience, and I've been diving with Gus, and he's a super knowledgeable, skilled technical diver, and I would be happy to do any type of dive with him any day. And I'm not saying this because I get paid for that or whatever. It was my gut feeling after we went in the water together and did a fairly reasonable cave dive together. And so that's personal experience. So don't underestimate these guys. They know what they talk about. And the fact that very knowledgeable, high profile individuals from the sport, may it be Mike Young or Doug Eversoil or a couple of more people, get into that is a pretty clear indication that this is serious. And I'm getting into it as well. I mean, you may not consider me being serious, but some people do, and a little bit of experience is there as well. And I love this machine. So let's talk a little bit more about the rebreather itself. So as I said, it's 4.5 kilos empty with the tank, and super small size-wise. At the moment it comes with this plate here. There will be like a pouch where you can put it in instead of that plate. We'll see how that works. And it originally comes, and I'll have to show you that. It comes with these straps that are obviously already through somewhere. So it comes with a couple of Velcro straps and these Fastex buckles. So you could theoretically put some straps and buckles on your harness and then clip it in. If you know me for a while, plastic buckles on Velcro, so I basically dumped this somewhere. But it's an absolutely reasonable solution, especially if somebody's using it for recreational stuff. Me personally, obviously, I preferred more stable connections, so I went for this, 2 bolt snaps on these chain links, and that means you can literally clip it on whatever configuration you have. You just basically clip this on your D-rings, and it's there. And then on the downside, and I'll show you that in a minute, you have 2 bungees with bolt snaps that you basically click in here. So here's 2 more chain links, and then you click it in there, and that's how you attach it. So super fast, super simple. Yeah, the more simple the better, right? So I think we assemble it now because I go for a dive today, and I'll show you a little bit how that works and explain a few things, and then you will see the ready product, and then obviously I'll take you with me on that dive so you see how it performs underwater, but I'll also show you how to set it up. Okay, so let's prepare it for a dive. So the beautiful orange here is not standard, that's a little bit individualized, so it comes black, but couldn't resist. So you open it up, open these latches here, and then turn it apart. That's the cable for the computer, and then you have it open. So that's the upper part. This is the MAV, that's the automatic one. Originally it comes with a manual one, so you don't really need the automatic one, but it's a nice feature that you can add as an add on top when you order it. Here's the inlet for the oxygen. It has a constant flow with about 0.7 liters per minute. Here you have the oxygen cells. Also, this is all very, very simple. So these are tucked in with these little rubber bands here. Very stable connection, actually better than the old RD22s with these 3-pin connectors. So that's all really nicely thought through. And so what we do now is we fill it with soap. And compared to the old KISS, there's actually a fill line. I don't know if you see that on the video. I don't know, probably here you can actually see a fill line. So there's a visual indicator of how much soap you can put in there. So and you probably saw these grooves here on the side. So that's a very smart one, because if that would be flat, actually gas could travel past there, but as the lime basically goes in these grooves, it creates a like an uneven surface, and it prevents channeling basically. So the scrubber is good for 150 minutes, at least that's what the manufacturer says. And so a lot of people complain about these 150 minutes, and how many of you do more than 150 minute dives regularly? There we back to the full technical, recreational whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, most rebreathers have a line time of 180 minutes, so that's 30 minutes more. I, for example, unless I'm really diving like every day to get hours on the unit, so often I fill my classic KISS, I do a dive, I don't know, 1.5 hours something, and then I dump the lime because I'm not going for another dive in the next 14 days or something like that. And it always like, damn, there's so much life left in this. So with this one, that's nicer. It's less lime. 150 minutes is sufficient for most of my dives, and if I dump it, I dump it because I used it. So actually I like that. I also got the question of like cold water. So how is it with this small amount of lime in cold water? I did a 62 meter dive in 4 degrees water. Total time was 120 minutes. No issues whatsoever. No CO2 breaks through or whatever. So all good for 95% of my diving. So if I want to do this 120 meter rec dive, I would still go on my classic KISS, but not every weekend, not every second weekend, maybe once a year. So we're still filling this, still tapping it a little bit. So I think we're pretty good here. And we now have this really nicely made stainless steel cover here. And what I do is I turn it in a little bit like that. So I don't know if you see that. So these grooves basically in here, they fill with lime. So that's super nice, and I can actually barely see this line anymore, so that's pretty perfect. So we check these O-rings. They're fine, they can actually use a little bit of grease here. So that looks good. Some dog hair, I have no idea where that dog hair comes from. And then you align this here nicely, and actually you can use the latches, and also here this tower you can really see where this belongs. Also these towers where the latches are, and then you evenly press down. 1, 2, and 3, and the unit is filled with lime. So next thing is the counterlungs. So we have these nice counterlungs here, and again a bit of silicone grease here. So one has an overpressure valve, that's the one that goes on the right side, and there is a pretty innovative system. So you basically press this ring, so there's a groove here, and that plastic part here basically catches that groove. So very, very simple. You put it on here, you press that, you release it, and it's in. And I'll show you in a minute, you can actually turn these counterlungs, which actually affects the work of breathing, and you can really, really nicely adjust that. So that's the left one. Again, a little bit of grease here. Put this cable away and press this in, and done. So I'll turn that around one more time so to make it a little bit more clear for you. So these counterlungs then basically sit here on the side, basically on the side of your lungs, which means there's almost no pressure difference between your lungs and the counterlungs, which makes breathing super, super comfortable. And you can actually adjust these. So when you're like, oh, okay, could be better, you can turn them up a little bit further, you can turn them down a little bit further, so you can really adjust them basically on the fly, because you can turn them. And that's what I wanted to show you. So you can turn this, and then, so to avoid them from going up, I mean, you attach them here with these chain links. We've been experimenting a little bit. I also tried it with some Velcro, with some bungee, whatever, but I like these chain links because I also use them for the bungees on the gear. I'll show you in a minute when I attach it. And they come really handy for that. So I turn this one also, and that's a bit my indication. So I turn them the way that this fits really nice here, and that works perfect for me. But as I said, you can individualize that as much as you want to make it comfortable for you breathing. So now the counterlungs are on, and now we add the tank. So the 1.5 liter aluminium tank. So basically that goes this goes in here, and then we have our first stage. There's an overpressure valve. It's a plugged off one, so the intermediate pressure doesn't change because there's no pressure access from the surrounding water to the chamber. There's an SPG and a connector. So attach it here. attach this here and turn that around like that, because I want the valve to stick basically to my body. That's the most protected way. So with the SPG, I've seen people having the small ones on it without a hose. I don't like these at all. I'm still playing around with it where the best position is. I mean, here you can. I tried with a bungee, but then reading it is so actually it sticks quite nice here at the moment. But yeah, we'll see what I'm doing with it. I mean, obviously, I've seen people having a computer with a sensor, so then you can put the sender here, sender unit. That obviously solves the problem as well. So really depending on how you dive it. So then we come to the loop. So here's the loop. These beautiful orange covers are obviously an Achim thing, so they don't come with it. But yeah, really nice DSV, nothing special here, easy to maintain. Yeah, really nothing special here. So probably turn it around again to make this a little bit more obvious. Should have a third person here to show that a little bit better. So make sure there's nothing on these threads. A little bit of grease here, and then you basically stick this on here. So an O-ring, and the nut here is basically just, it's not like you're not screwing it on, it's basically just securing it from sliding out. So there's no need to like screw this down like crazy. So okay, that's the stop. What I can do with my thumb and index finger, you see this is really not super tight or anything, it just prevents this from getting loose. And same goes on the other side. Bit of grease here, and then working that in there, and then making this, closing this securing nut, and we are done. So now the rebreather would be basically ready to go. Put the computer on it. And here we have the full unit. So what I do now is obviously a vacuum test. As you can see, it's a good visual control as well. So a sucked vacuum in it, wait for a while, and then when you open it up, you hear the hissing sound. I have no idea if you hear that on the video, but now there's also an overpressure test, etc. That's something that I'll do immediately before I dive it. Basically, just want to show you how I wear it on the gear. And so I will dive side mount. So I'm diving it with this fly at the moment, and the only thing that I changed here is I added these two bungees here, and basically that's what's securing it on the lower side, so it's not sliding off or falling off. And I'm clipping these in these chain links here, right? So what I'm doing is I'm taking the unit, And this is now ready to dive, and that's 8 kilos. So still nothing, right? Clip. Clip. And then, I'm not sure how good you can see that. I guess clipped it in here. And clipped it in here, and now even if I like bent forward, it's not falling anywhere. It's actually sitting right where it should be. Computer goes on the arm, and I would be ready to dive. Now obviously I need diluent. Let me just secure this here somewhere. So obviously I need diluent, so the only thing I need to add to my regular dive gear is an additional inflator hose that basically plugs in here. And then obviously if I dive, for example, trimix, I said I did a 60-meter dive, so 1845, and then obviously you have a 50% with you and you have oxygen with you. So these stage tanks had an additional inflator hose, so I can plug them in here. But that's basically everything, and makes it very, very easy also for all sort of bailout options. I mean, theoretically, you can take the inflator hose from your dry suit and plug it in here, because it's not a special connection or whatever. It's just, yeah, an inflator. And the special adapter here from Achim is also just basically an inflator, that piece from an inflator hose that's plugged off. And so yeah, you can see that fits on here in case I want to dive it like an oxygen rebreather. And that's it. Super simple, super easy unit. I'm completely in love with it. And yeah, if you're interested, let me know. My contact details are below the video. If you want to go for dry dive, if you want to have more information, I also link the Dive Talk Academy link below, so you can check it out directly on their website. And you can see the shop where you can configure it, and maybe it's something for you. I really love it, and I stop this video now because I go for a dive, and see you in the water. Come with me.